But if you want to beat the market, then picking like companies kind of makes sense, right? For example, iske case. Hi everyone. So on this video, I'm going to help you understand if you should be making more investments in the US market, because in the US now the elections are going to come. So there might be a chance of a rally. So should you rather pull out your money from the Indian market, invest it in the US market? Are these the type of moves that you should be considering right now? So I'll help you understand this topic from a macroeconomics lens. Along the way, I will speak about certain investments, stocks, different asset classes that I'm picking, and will help you understand the macro thesis behind it. Very quick disclaimer, this is not an investment advice. I'm presenting a macroeconomic thesis which is data driven, fact driven, practically driven, because I practically invest my own money. I'm currently managing a hedge fund. So my job is to invest money. I will help you understand my investment style, my investment thesis, but accordingly you need to curate. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let us jump right into the topic. So first and foremost, let us speak about general macroeconomic but very useful points. So point number one is that recently the interest rates were cut in the US. Now I have done complete videos on this topic. So in case you are interested, you could consider watching some of these videos. In case not, here is a very quick summary that, hey, the interest rates in the US have been cut, and they have been cut very aggressively. Now, whenever interest rates come down, the borrowing cost in the economy goes down, and as a result, there is more economic activity. So that is an oversimplified explanation of what interest rate cut actually means. Now, generally, if you keep a mid-term to a long-term view, mid-term means that somewhere more than like 1.5 years long, then typically after an interest rate cut, the markets are likely to do much better, right? So this is one very basic point, one very important change that has happened recently. Now, this is a change that has happened in the US. This has not happened in India yet, but the chances are that this will happen in India as well, which I'll speak about in a minute. This is point one. Point two is that in the US, there is election. Now, whenever there is election, keeping the market sentiments up becomes like a good political tool, because यार अब market में गिरावट आ गई, right? Investors losing money, they will start thinking कि oh, economy में कुछ weak तो नहीं है, all that stuff. So then people start like fretting a little bit. So politicians try to keep the stock markets up. How do they exactly do it? That's a topic in itself. But to cut the long story short, basically you must know that in India, for example, roughly 20% of our stock market is controlled by LIC. Okay, so 20% of Indian stock market. So they make like buying, selling decisions to that extent. Now, if the government wants, they can de facto instruct these DIIs or domestic institutional investors to buy more stuff. And if they buy more stuff, the stock price can be kept alive. Okay. So this is how politicians, in very simple words, manage the stock market, so to say. So this index management or stock market management is likely to happen in the US over the next 5-6 months. And it is already there in India. For example, you might have heard Modi ji कि भाई PSU stocks खरीद लो, कि भाई stock market नहीं गिरेगा. Now, because the India stock market is doing well, it's an indicator that our economy is also doing very well. All these are political points. I am no one to comment on them. This is your interpretation, how you see it. The important point for investors that I wanted to bring home or drive home is very simple, that politicians have an incentive in the US right now to keep the stock market up, and in India also they are keeping the stock market up. Now, some of you might quip that, okay, this is your opinion. Can you show some data? How exactly will this work out? So, okay, so let's work with the US example, and these are the estimated numbers of stock buybacks that will happen in the US market over the next few years. So मैं आपको पूरी इसकी हिस्ट्री बता देता हूँ कि for example in 2010 stock buybacks was $319 billion, and ये बढ़ते it is expected that in the next 2 years, in fact this year it's expected it's close to $1,000 billion, and next year the number will surpass, and this growth rate is 13% and 16% here. So now comes a very natural question that what is the meaning of stock buyback? How does it impact the stock price, and how will you as an investor benefit from it, right? Now, these are all technical points, salient points that you should know as an investor. Now, let me give you a very quick summary of how this typically works. So let's say that if Apple Computers is there, right, they have, let's say, 100 stocks floating in the market. These are called as outstanding stocks. Okay. Now, Apple has a lot of money lying around in its bank. Okay. And it's not able to figure out कि यार कहाँ पे R&D करें, where to put up like more factories, all that stuff. और like iPhone 17 बना लेते हैं, right? अब 50 इंच की स्क्रीन लगा देंगे, उसको LED TV बना देंगे and all that stuff. So no, they are not investing money in that. So what will they do with this money? They can go and buy their own stocks. So then comes a natural question, why will a company buy its own stock? For many reasons. Number one reason could be that, hey, they want to indicate to the market that we trust our stock, that it is these 100 stocks are trading in the market at, let's say, $100. People are feeling, ये तो बहुत बड़ा हुआ stock है and all that stuff. But no, Apple will come, see boss, we are okay buying it at $100. Okay, so this is stock buyback that we are doing. So this will give confidence to investors कि ठीक है यार, Apple खुद खरीद रहा है अपने stocks, तो ठीक ही होंगे. So from that angle, the company benefits. Now this game happens quite aggressively in the US market, right? And you can see from these numbers that the extent of stock buyback is typically increasing, and these companies buying their own shares back keeps the stock market or their stock price alive. Now this game is likely to be played by like M7 or Magnificent 7 stocks in the US, the top 7 tech companies. उनके पास बहुत cash flow होता है, they have a lot of money sitting on their balance sheet, they can play this game easily. अब कोई Dubai company है, now that does not have the money here, right? I mean, so they cannot do it, right? But I hope that you got the perspective that what is the meaning of stock buyback, how it happens, how it exactly benefits the existing shareholders. So, okay, so to cut the long story short and summarize this particular segment of the video, there are 2 points. Number one, in the US, the stock market is likely to be kept alive over the next few months. In fact, I will say that till 2025, the expectation is that the stock market will be up. The reason is stock buybacks in the US. In India, the reason is ki, the current government SAC or entire honor is now connected to the stock market. If stock market गिर गया तो Indian economy पिट गई type, right? So Indian government will also try everything in its power to keep the stock market alive. So both the places, India and the US, the stock game will be kept alive. That is my estimate. That is what I believe. And this is the investment thesis on which I am basing my investment decisions. So now comes the natural question that, okay, fine, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. How do I invest in the US market? So my suggestion would be that you could consider checking out Vested. It is an investment platform that you can use in order to invest money in the US. They have a partnership with HDFC Bank, so it's fairly safe. It's easy to transfer money. It's easy to buy stocks in the US by using this platform. You can definitely check out all the details. I am putting up the link in the description and comment box. And also, in the interest of full disclosure, I am an investor in Vested. I have done my due diligence. Therefore, I became an angel investor in the company. I feel that they are doing a wonderful job. So in case you like the platform, you can definitely consider doing some investments. Now, since I am an investor, there is a good deal going on that if you use the links in the description and comment box, you will get an additional benefit because you are one of my viewers. Okay, so with that said, let's move on to the next section. Ki now you might say, ki dekho yaar, okay, fine, election is happening, interest rate cut has happened, corporate buybacks / stock buybacks will happen in the US. All makes sense. But I have seen Indian market giving like, 13% CAGR. But US market gives me like 8-9% CAGR. So why should I put money in the US market when I'm getting so low returns? Why not the Indian market? Because your understanding of this is incorrect. You are not adjusting for the fact that INR also depreciates. So let me actually show it to you, right? And here is a very good study. So here what I've done is that this candlestick that you see, so this candlestick pattern, this entire thing, this is the Nifty 50, right, line, and this is the US S&P 500, right, which is the US stock market index or one of the broad indices in the US. Now, what you will notice is that if you actually just, cut the long story short here, basically both the Indian market and the US market function almost similarly. यहाँ पे गिरा तो यार यहाँ पे भी गिर गया, यहाँ पे गिरा तो यार यहाँ पे भी गिर गया, यहाँ पे गिरा तो यहाँ पे भी गिर गया. If it went up, then this also went up. If this went up, then this also went up, and almost in a similar fashion. Okay, so there are minor differences, but if I have to put a number, then there is close to 80% correlation between the India market or Indian stock market and the US stock market. It cannot happen, or it usually does not happen, that Indian market is going up, up, up and up on a 3-year, 5-year basis, and US market is going down, 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 down. Okay, or vice versa. So please keep this in mind. The second key point is that now you might look at this graph, you will say, yaar, you know what, Indian market ने तो 162% return दिया है, SPX ने 126% return दिया है. Well, have you accounted for rupee depreciation? Because INR depreciates by 4% a year, right, on every single year basis, right, 4%, 4%. So अगर if you are looking at this data from 2018, तो 6 साल में कितना हो गया वो? So आप linear भी मान लो तो 6 into 4, 24%, right, उसमें compounding क्या अगर वगैरह मिला मिलूगे तो 30-40% बैठा. So therefore this difference is accounted for in terms of dollar appreciation or rupee depreciation. This is a very important point that people typically miss. Also a very humble request, guys, in case you are enjoying this macroeconomically driven content, I would really suggest that you subscribe to this channel. I keep on presenting a lot of useful commentary. I've made it a very specific investor focused channel. So if you are a serious investor, definitely definitely do check out some of my courses, join the community. Everything is taught fundamentally. Serious investors only join it. It's a very curated community of people who want to actually grow their wealth. So again, I'm putting all the links. You guys can check it out. Okay, so now comes the next part that, okay, fine, Indian market is also okay. US market is also okay. Maybe I should diversify. Should I diversify? Yes, you should diversify because there is always a sovereign risk. And अगर आपको बराबर का return मिल रहा है from Indian market or the US market, then why not the US market? At least from a diversification point of view, it makes sense. So this is like a very commonsensical thing that anyone should be doing. Then comes a natural question that, okay, कहाँ पे invest कर सकता हूँ? Where can I actually start my journey in the US? दोनों टॉपिक पे बात करते हैं, where you can start, and if you are already an existing investor in the US market, what are some key things that you should keep in mind? Okay, so point one, if you check the technicals of Nasdaq Composite. Now Nasdaq Composite is the tech focused index in the US. अगर आप ये चेक करोगे ना, तो there is a very good pattern that is getting formed here, right? So this is cup with handle. Okay, so I will just pull this up. So the technical target of Nasdaq comes out to be roughly 22,000. अभी ये चल रहा है करीब 18,000, 18,000. So I do believe that there is still a 22% room for growth on Nasdaq. This likely should be achieved by next year, hopefully. Now I am saying that there can be a 22% gain on Nasdaq still. It might happen that this might take a couple of years maybe, but there is a chance that over the next 1 year itself, this gain can be achieved, right? But now why am I saying it? This is more important aspect that you need to study, right? And there are 2-3 reasons why I'm saying this. So number one is the fact that the last rally that has happened, for example, that if I remove all of this and let's look at this part, right? From here, this recent fall all the way till here, there has been a roughly 83% gain in the last 2 years, right? So ये तो हो गया from a mid-term perspective. लेकिन अगर आप last rally देखो, so this was the last rally. This rally we were able to capture. So if you have been a member of my YouTube member community, you would know that I had been saying for the last 6-8 months, अभी पिछले 2 महीने हटा दो, in the last 2 months I have not spoken much about this. But before that, the Nasdaq was at a deep discount and had categorically commented that there is likely to be a gain on Nasdaq, right? So basically what has happened is that this entire gain came, right? Then the market had corrected. Now it is trying to rebound, all that stuff. Now, but if you study the entire market from here to here, right? If you just simplify these 2 points, what are some key things that you can note, right? The number one thing, the rally that came, that 83-84% gain that came on Nasdaq was due to artificial intelligence chip narrative, right? कि जैसे Nvidia बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया, right? And all the SMCI बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है. SMCI was one of my picks. Many have commented that have you sold it? Yes, long time back I have sold it. It had given crazy run up. So this entire theme, right from being extremely positive, it has turned negative, right? Right now, for example, iPhone 16 launch had happened, and one of the key attributes of iPhone 16 or the differentiating element what Apple was trying to pitch iPhone 16 as was that hey, this is an AI driven phone. जो आपका सीरी होता है उसमें एंड जो फोटोग्राफ्स दैट यू विल टेक दैट कैन बी लाइक AI ड्रिवन एंड व्हाट नॉट, राइट? एंड उसमें AI का कुछ हम कर देंगे टाइप्स. Then iPhone 16 launched, they did not make many changes on it, okay? And basically what they are now doing is that they are launching a beta updates in the US market on iPhone 16 itself. तो उन्होंने launch कर दिया because they had no other option. They ran out of time without making improvements. Now they are saying, you know what boss, fine, this is AI, आगे चल के कर देंगे कुछ अच्छा इसमें. So this was a very lukewarm product that they launched, and as a result, many investors, for example, Mr. Warren Buffett sold a large chunk of his position on Apple. Many other investors have sold it. I have also sold it. But the larger point that I'm trying to tell you is that see, this AI chip thing or AI chip story has somewhat played out, right? And uski wajah se, this fall that you see, this fall had happened. This was during that Apple debate and AI not working out and chip making getting too much positive momentum, all that stuff, right? Since then the markets have started to rebound, right? So this is a very important point, very important learning that you should have. So 2 steps that I've done is that number one, Nasdaq, I'm still bullish, right? On a long-term basis, you can definitely do SIP. You can even do one bulk buy and do rest of the SIPs. How exactly to structure it, all that you again need to discuss and get more fundamental standing on. But from an asset quality perspective, there is no issue with Nasdaq. But is there an asset quality issue with Apple? I would say yes, right? There is an asset quality issue with Apple. What about Amazon? No, Amazon is completely okay. I don't see any issue. I have done my analysis. What about Alphabet or Google, right? So Alphabet, Google is also in a good shape. There is nothing off with Alphabet or Google. In fact, they are sitting on a ton of cash and they can continue their stock buyback. Okay, very quick, important point again. See, no one or like a large chunk of investors have turned negative against Apple, but Apple still has a very strong balance sheet. They can continue to buy their own stocks and keep it inflated, right? And that is what Apple is currently doing, right? उनका stock price बहुत ज़्यादा गिरा नहीं है. But on a 5-year, 10-year basis, अगर आप long-term investor हो, can they continue to do this? No, that will become a very difficult thing to do because this stock buyback thing only works when the company is fundamentally strong and its fundamentals are not going weaker. As of now, we cannot say that about Apple. Apple is a wonderful company, no doubt about that, but they need that product innovation. It is unfortunately not happening, right? So if I have to go and pick individual stocks, so these are the type of stocks that I will pick. I have also added a few cybersecurity companies. I might make updated videos. Actually, I don't make too many videos now. There are just too many people like, unnecessarily making me responsible for everything. Why I am honestly sharing whatever I am doing, but उसमें भी फिर ये हो जाता है कि oh, you are not giving like enough context and ये लो वो ले लो. So yeah, I don't want to get into all those stock naming. So I will give you idea. उसके बाद आपको refine करना है how you go about it. But the point being that there are good individual investment opportunities in the US market and it makes sense to explore them, right? For my community members, I will keep on doing the complete report analysis of different stocks on the community. That will give you more refined analysis. Okay, so now comes the last and final section कि अच्छा चलो Indian market के बारे में बता दो, what the scene is like, should we invest? See, some things in the Indian market, for example, small cap 250, I had already exited my position. I am very happy that I had exited my position somewhere here. It had already fallen 4-5%. Now this looks slightly dangerous to me, keeping a lot of money in small cap index in India or mid cap index in India. Why? Because a lot of small cap, mid cap companies in India are made up of a lot of loss making companies. Now, if you are going and refining this index and investing now, it kind of makes sense. For example, one of my picks was Novama Wealth. मैंने इसमें एक stock नहीं बेचा अभी तक, right? And basically right now, right? I'll put it somewhere here. I must be like 70-75% profit on this company, right? I had been aggregating it in this entire zone, right? And within like a year, 70-75% run up has happened on it. Supriya Life Science was another one that I had picked. It has given very good run up. Angel One, very good run up. 5 Paisa Capital, very good run up. Aavas Financiers, housing finance companies, they are all giving very good run up. In fact, people keep making fun of me कि आपने HDFC गलत पिक कर लिया. ये रहा मेरा HDFC का पिक. इस पे भी I am sitting on 14-15% profit. ऐसा नहीं है कि इस पे मैं लॉस पे हूँ. So anyways, let me get back on the topic. The point being that right now doing index investing in India looks very dangerous. अगर आप 10 साल 15 साल वाले investor हो, then it's a different thing कि आप अभी खरीद लो and then you are holding on index, all that stuff. That's a separate conversation altogether. But if you want to beat the market, then picking like cash flow positive small cap companies, mid cap companies kind of make sense, right? For example, इसके केस में, right? अभी भी इसका stock PE is 34. ऐसा नहीं है कि बहुत crazy PE है, okay? Look at the revenue growth of the company, profit growth of the company. It has been doing exceptionally well. In the last 12 months, it had almost doubled its profit. So यार stock price बढ़ेगा ही ना. So it is very obvious that अगर stock का profit keeps on compounding at 100%, at least in the next 3-4 years, चलो it will get normalized, right? It will go to like 30-40% CAGR. तो इतना तो आप expect कर ही सकते हो stock पे on a 3-year basis. So which more than doubles your stock. In fact, on a 3-year basis, it gives you roughly how much? 120-130% run up, right? So which is a very good run up if you think about it from that angle. So whatever small cap, mid cap companies you are picking right now, they should be cash flow positive. They should be in an industry which are growing. If you guys want, I'll make a follow-up video on this. But these are the type of investments I'm making. In summary, I'll leave you with 3-4 key things which I keep on reinstating on some of my videos. Number one, I am sitting on 25-30% cash positions right now, which I will invest strategically. Number two, I am diversifying more internationally right now because I do feel that on a 10-15 year basis, INR is going to depreciate, or the rate of INR depreciation is not going to slow down, right? This is point two. Number three, I am buying the US index, but I'm upward averaging it. Please note, this is a very important consideration. I had already built a huge position on US markets, but now I am upward averaging it. This is three. Number four, I'm buying select small and mid cap companies in India. And number five and final point is that I'm maxing out my positions on large cap companies in India because I do feel that there is a small rally left and I would want to benefit from it. And after that, we might be in a euphoria stage and फिर उसके बाद देखते हैं how to book profits. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, do subscribe to the channel and I'll see you soon.